I was 14 when my parents decided the cold outside was a better place for me than the house I grew up in. Not a metaphor, not exaggeration. Actual cold. Locked door. Lights off. That was the night they chose my brother over my life. If you've ever had family look at you like you're disposable, like your side of the story never mattered, go ahead and tap like and subscribe. These stories don't get told enough, and what happened after that night only makes sense if you understand how it started. Because this didn't begin with that night. That night was just the final permission slip. Our house sat on a quiet street where nothing ever seemed wrong. Beige siding, trim lawn, porch light that always came on at dusk until it didn't. Neighbors waved, teachers smiled. From the outside, we were normal. Inside, the rules were simple. Noah cried, I paid. He was 2 years younger than me, which somehow translated to untouchable, fragile, special. I learned early that the truth didn't weigh as much as tears. I was 9 the first time it clicked. Mom's ceramic bowl, hand-painted, always don't touch, ended up shattered near the sink. I was in my room, door closed, homework spread across the floor. Noah came running down the hallway screaming like he'd been stabbed. She pushed me, he sobbed. She did it on purpose. Mom didn't ask where I was, didn't ask how. She looked at the pieces, then at me, and her mouth flattened into that thin line that meant I was already guilty. You're always so careless, she said. What is wrong with you? 6 weeks grounded, birthday money gone. Noah got ice cream because he was shaken. That was the formula. Break, cry, blame, reward. By 12, I stopped defending myself. Every word I said sounded like an excuse. Silence was safer. Silence hurt less. Dad liked expensive things, gadgets, equipment, stuff he could brag about. He treated them better than he treated me, which wasn't lost on Noah. He learned fast what mattered. The night everything collapsed was a Tuesday. Nothing dramatic, no warning music. Just the low hum of the dishwasher and the glow of the kitchen light reflecting off metal. Dad had come home earlier than usual, carrying a hard black case like it was sacred. He set it on the counter and opened it slowly, reverently. A brand new professional camera, lenses still wrapped. He smiled like a kid. Bonus from work, he said. They finally recognized me. Noah was glued to his side instantly, asking questions, touching buttons, breathing too close. I stayed back, on the couch, hoodie pulled tight, homework open but unread. I knew better than to orbit excitement when Noah was involved. Around 10, Dad stepped into the garage to take a call. Mom went upstairs to grab laundry. The house fell quiet. Then I heard it, a sharp clatter, liquid hitting tile. And then Noah's cry high, cracked rehearsed. I was on my feet before I realized it. The camera lay on its side lens, soaked coffee spreading across the counter in dark veins. Noah stood frozen, mug in hand, eyes already red. He looked at me, smiled. Then he screamed. She did it. The words hit before I could breathe. She got mad and knocked it over. She hates when you get nice things, Dad burst in like a storm. One look. That was all it took. The smell of burned electronics filled the room. I opened my mouth, closed it, tried again. I wasn't. Mom rushed down the stairs. Noah launched himself into her arms, sobbing into her shoulder like a victim. Dad didn't look at me. Not once. Get your stuff, he said. I'm done with you. My heart started pounding so hard it hurt. We can check, I said. The camera, there's footage. He grabbed my arm, hard, fingers digging in. I said, get out. Mom's voice cut through me like glass. You ruin everything, she said. Always have. The front door flew open. Cold rushed in sharp enough to steal my breath. I was pushed forward, shoes barely on phone left behind on the counter. Learn your lesson, Dad said. Mom leaned in close. Her voice was low, calm, final. If you freeze, that's on you. The door slammed. The lock clicked. The porch light went dark. That was the second something in me snapped. I stood there for a moment staring at my reflection in the glass. My own face looked unreal, pale, smaller, like someone else's kid. Then the cold started biting. Hard. I ran. I don't remember the blocks, just the sound of my breathing, the burn in my lungs, the way my fingers stopped hurting and started going numb. I slipped once, then again. My knees stung, then went quiet. I knocked on the first door I reached. Collapsed more than knocked, really. Warm hands pulled me inside. Blankets, a fireplace. Someone saying my name like it mattered. Later there were questions. A police officer. A paramedic with kind eyes and a serious voice. "Another 15 minutes," he said. "That's all it would have taken. Someone took pictures. Bruises. My arms, my face. Evidence." And then they called my grandfather. He answered on the second ring. He didn't ask what I did wrong. He asked where I was. But before he arrived, before consequences, before anything resembling safety, my parents called. Dad's voice was sharp through the phone. Defensive. Angry. "She's lying," he said. "She's always lying." Mom took the phone after him. "She's dramatic," she said. "She wants attention." I stared at the wall while she spoke, my body wrapped in borrowed clothes, shaking, finally slowing. Then she said the sentence I still hear in my sleep. "Some kids just don't belong in a family." That was when I knew. I wasn't kicked out that night because of a camera. I was kicked out because to them, I was already gone. The cold didn't hit all at once. It crept. At first it was just air-sharp clean, almost polite. Then it slid under my hoodie up my sleeves through the thin fabric like it had teeth. My breath came out white and wrong, like it didn't belong to me anymore. The porch light stayed off. That mattered more than the lock. I knocked once, hard, then again. Then I started pounding, my knuckles cracking against wood, my voice breaking open in the dark. "Mom, Dad, please." Nothing. Inside the house was silent, not even footsteps, not even the TV. Silence that said the decision had already been made. That was the moment I understood this wasn't punishment. It was removal. I stepped off the porch because standing still felt like surrender. The sidewalk glittered with ice. My shoes weren't made for it. Neither were my lungs. Every breath burned like I was swallowing glass. I ran. The streetlights blurred. My vision tunneled. The cold stopped hurting my fingers first. That scared me more than the pain ever had. I counted blocks because it kept me upright. 1, 2, 3. My thighs screamed, my knees buckled. I caught myself on a parked car, metal biting through my palms. I thought about going back, about apologizing for something I didn't do, about promising to be quieter, smaller, easier. Then I remembered my mother's voice, flat, certain. "If you freeze, that's on you." So I kept running. By the time I reached the Mitchell's house, I couldn't feel my face. I leaned into the door and slid down my fists, knocking weakly now, like they belonged to someone else. The door flew open. Warmth hit me so fast it made me dizzy. Mrs. Mitchell grabbed me under the arms, hauling me inside while shouting for her husband. Their living room lights snapped on. The fireplace roared. "Oh my God," she said. "Oh my God." Her hands were shaking as she wrapped blankets around me. Someone took my shoes off. Someone else pressed my hands between theirs, rubbing hard. "Stay with me," Mr. Mitchell said. "Look at me. You're okay. You're safe." Safe felt like a word from another language. I shook so hard my teeth hurt, my ears burned. I tried to speak and couldn't get the words out right. They called 911. The operator's voice came through on speaker, calm and clipped, asking questions while Mrs. Mitchell kept counting my breaths out loud like it mattered. When the paramedics arrived, their faces changed the second they touched me. Core Temp's low one said, "You're lucky." Lucky. The word landed wrong. A police officer followed them in. Young, serious. He asked what happened. I didn't answer at first. I stared at the wall at a framed photo of the Mitchells smiling on a beach somewhere warm. Mrs. Mitchell answered for me. "They locked her out," she said. "No coat, no phone. It's below freezing." The officer's jaw tightened. He glanced at my arms, gently lifting the sleeve. Purple fingerprints bloomed under the skin. His eyes flicked up, met hers. She nodded once. Evidence. He stepped outside to make a call. When he came back in, he asked for my parents' number. I gave it to him. He dialed. Put it on speaker. Dad answered first. His voice was sharp, irritated, like he'd been interrupted. "Yes, this is Officer Reynolds," the cop said. "Your daughter is at a neighbor's house with signs of hypothermia. We need you to come here immediately." There was a pause. Just long enough. Then Dad laughed. "She's dramatic," he said. "She does this for attention." The room went very still. Mom took the phone. She destroyed expensive equipment, she said. We told her to leave and cool off. She ran off instead. Ma'am, the officer said, voice hardening, she could have died. Another pause. Well, Mom said she needs to learn consequences. That was it. No concern, no urgency, no question if I was breathing. The officer looked at me, then really looked. Not like a problem, like a kid. They're not coming, he said quietly to the Mitchells. The paramedics wrapped me in a silver blanket that crackled when I moved. One of them squeezed my shoulder. You did the right thing, he said. You kept going. I nodded because it seemed expected. Inside, something hollowed out. Hours passed in pieces, forms, photos. The officer documenting my bruises, the frostbite starting to show on my ears. Mrs. Mitchell handing me hot cocoa I couldn't hold steady enough to drink. At one point, my phone buzzed. Someone had found it in the snow near our driveway and brought it over. 3 missed calls, all from Mom. 1 voicemail. I didn't play it. I already knew what it would say. Sometime after midnight, the officer asked if there was any other family. Someone who could take me, someone safe. I said my grandfather's name. When Mrs. Mitchell called him, he answered immediately. No confusion, no hesitation. What happened? He asked. She told him. There was silence on the line, not the empty kind, the kind that meant something was being calculated. I'm on the first flight, he said. Don't let anyone move her. When she hung up, she smiled at me soft but fierce. He's coming, she said. You're not alone. I stared into the fire, watching the flames snap and settle. My body finally stopped shaking. That scared me too. Across town, my parents were still in their house. Warm, lights on, doors locked. They hadn't called back. They had made their choice. And somewhere between the snow and the sirens and the silence, I stopped hoping they would change their minds. Morning came without permission. I woke up on a couch that wasn't mine, wrapped in blankets that smelled like laundry soap and wood smoke. For a second, I didn't know where I was. Then my hands throbbed, my ears burned, my arms ached in places I hadn't noticed yet. Memory slid back in slow and sharp. The door, the cold, the lock, Mrs. Mitchell was already awake, sitting in the armchair across from me like she'd been guarding the room all night. When she saw my eyes open, she stood immediately. Hey, she said softly. Easy, you're okay. Okay was generous. Alive felt more accurate. The paramedics had been right. I was lucky. My temperature had climbed back into safe territory sometime around 3 in the morning. The danger had passed. The consequences hadn't. A police cruiser sat outside idling. Officer Reynolds was at the kitchen table with a notebook and a paper cup of coffee he hadn't touched. Good morning, he said, gentle but formal. I need to ask you a few things. I nodded. He didn't rush. He didn't interrupt. He asked where I'd been standing when the door closed, what I was wearing, how long I'd been outside before I ran, how my arm got bruised. When I lifted my sleeve, his jaw tightened again. The marks were darker now, clearer. Fingers, thumb, pressure. Did your mother do this? He asked. Yes. 1 word. No explanation. He wrote it down. Mrs. Mitchell took pictures on her phone, close-ups, timestamps. She didn't apologize for it. She didn't sugarcoat it. This is for you, she said, not against you. Someone finally said the right thing. Around 7 headlights swept across the front windows. A rental car pulled into the driveway like it knew exactly where it was going. I recognized the way it parked. Straight. Intentional. My grandfather stepped out wearing a jacket too thin for the cold, the same beat-up duffel slung over his shoulder that he'd carried my entire life. He didn't rush. He didn't hesitate. He walked up to the door like he owned the ground under his feet. When he saw me, something in his face went very still. Not shock, not panic. Control. He hugged me once. Hard, solid. The kind of hug that didn't ask questions. I've got you, he said quietly. That was it. No, what happened? No, are you sure? No doubt. He thanked the Mitchells with a nod that carried weight. He shook Officer Reynolds' hand and listened while the report was summarized. He asked exactly 2 questions about my condition and 1 about next steps. Then he pulled out his phone. Call them, he said. The video rang twice. Dad answered. Same shirt as last night. Jaw clenched. Mom leaned into frame a second later, eyes red but dry. Noah wasn't there. My grandfather didn't raise his voice. Explain. He said why my granddaughter spent the night in a stranger's house after you put her out in freezing weather. Dad launched into it immediately. The camera, the damage, the disrespect. He talked fast like speed could turn lies into facts. Mom nodded along. She's always been difficult, she added. She needs consequences. My grandfather let them finish. Then he spoke again, slower this time. When you bought that house, he said the bank wouldn't touch you. I co-signed. I've covered the shortfall every month since. Dad started to interrupt. He raised one finger. Dad stopped. The cars you drive, he continued, are titled in my name. Insurance wouldn't clear otherwise. The college accounts, I opened them. I funded them. Every dollar. Mom's mouth fell open. You locked a child out in the cold over a story you didn't verify, he said. You risked her life. Dad's voice rose. You can't punish Noah for one mistake. My grandfather didn't blink. This has been happening for years. You just chose not to see it. Mom's voice cracked. We're family. Family doesn't do this, he said. Family doesn't choose comfort over a child's safety. Then he delivered it. Clean, precise. My name comes off the mortgage today. The bank will call you. You have 30 days to refinance the cars or return them. Noah's education fund is frozen. Permanently. Mom made a sound like something breaking. And Lena's dad asked. That one stays, my grandfather said. She earned it by surviving you. He ended the call. Just like that. The silence afterward was heavy, but it wasn't empty. It was full of something settling into place. Officer Reynolds cleared his throat. She'll need temporary placement until family court opens, he said. She's coming with me, my grandfather replied. No argument, no negotiation. By noon, my clothes were folded into borrowed bags. Mrs. Mitchell hugged me so tight it almost hurt. You're brave, she whispered. I didn't feel brave. I felt hollow, like something had been cut out clean. As we drove away, I didn't look back at my house. I looked at my hands instead, at the fading bruises, at the proof that would outlast denial. For the first time, there was a witness who mattered, and for the first time, I wasn't alone with the truth. Arizona felt unreal at first. Too much light, too much sky, air that didn't hurt when you breathed it in. My grandfather's place sat low and quiet, a small house that smelled like coffee and dust and sun-warmed wood. No slammed doors, no raised voices, no one watching me for mistakes. That scared me more than the cold ever had. For the first week, I slept with my shoes by the bed. Old habit, in case I had to run. My grandfather noticed and didn't comment. He never asked me to explain myself. He just cooked, drove, paid attention. That was how he believed you, by acting like your life mattered. School started online, new schedule, new email. No one knew my last name meant anything different now. I liked that. I kept my camera off. I spoke only when called on. I did the work, stayed invisible. Invisibility had kept me alive once. I wasn't ready to give it up. The message came on a Saturday afternoon, a name I hadn't seen in years, Maya Torres. We weren't friends back home. Not really. We'd shared classes, lockers close enough to hear each other breathe. She was quiet, smart. The kind of girl teachers forgot to notice until grades came out perfect. Her message was short. Is your brother still doing that thing? I stared at the screen. What thing? I typed back. The dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Stealing stuff and crying about it, she wrote. Blaming other people. My chest tightened. Why? She sent a picture, a screenshot from a group chat. A kid asking if anyone had seen his wireless earbuds. Another message underneath. Noah said Lena took them. I didn't answer right away. Maya didn't push. 10 minutes later, another message came through. I know you're gone, but it didn't stop. That was how it started. Not with revenge, not with anger, with recognition. We called that night. Video off, voices low. Maya talked fast like she was afraid courage would evaporate if she slowed down. He's been doing it since 4th grade, she said. Phones, cash, jackets, anything expensive. He takes it, then tells a teacher someone else forced him to hold it. Or he plants it and cries. How many? I asked. She hesitated. I stopped counting after 15. My stomach dropped. No one believes them, she went on. He's convincing. And when kids try to push back, he threatens them, spreads stuff, lies, teachers eat it up. The room felt smaller. So why now, I asked. Because you're gone, she said, and he's getting sloppy. She sent another photo, a kid's calculator in Noah's locker, another screenshot, a voice memo, a boy whispering scared, explaining how Noah demanded money to keep things quiet. I sat very still. This wasn't about me anymore. That realization landed heavy, then sharp. I wasn't the problem. I was the cover. Once I was gone, the pattern had nowhere to hide. We can't just dump this, Maya said. It'll disappear or get turned around. I know, I said. I'd lived inside that machine. I knew exactly how it chewed truth and spit out blame. So we didn't rush. We built it slow. Rules first. No emotion in writing. No accusations without proof. Dates, screenshots, originals only. Every file named the same way. Every story backed by something physical. I set up a shared drive under a fake parent email. Maya handled collection. Kids sent her photos, voice recordings, messages that vanished after viewing screen recorded just in time. Every Friday night we went through it together, clinical, quiet, no cheering, no relief, just facts stacking up. By January there were 9 incidents. By February 14, different victims. Same method, same lies, same crying routine. I started to recognize phrases in the recordings. The way Noah framed himself, the pauses he used, the soft threats disguised as jokes. I'd heard them all before. March hit, and the list crossed 20. That was when Maya asked the question we'd both been avoiding. What do we do with it? I already knew. Every system has a stage it can't ignore. In our town, that stage came every spring. The character assembly. Banners, applause, parents dressed like it mattered, awards for integrity, leadership, trust. The kind of night where reputations got laminated. Maya swallowed when I said it. They're nominating him, she said. I heard a teacher say his name. Of course they were. We didn't move yet. We waited, collected more, cleaned it up, built a timeline so clear it couldn't be spun. 23 incidents, 3 years, multiple witnesses, cross-referenced. I flew back the morning of the ceremony. Hoodie pulled low, mask on, no announcement. My grandfather waited in the car. You don't have to do this, he said. I know, I replied. That was why I could. The auditorium smelled like polish and nerves. I sat in the back, watched my parents from a distance. They looked the same, relaxed, certain. Noah sat between them, smiling. The award was last. Student of Integrity, the principal announced. Applause erupted. Noah walked onto the stage like he belonged there, trophy in hand. Lights bright enough to erase doubt. I stood, walked forward, no shaking, no rush. I reached the podium, plugged in the drive, and stepped aside. The screen lit up. Photos, dates, screenshots, voices, a ledger of truth. Gasps rippled through the room, then shouting, names called out, parents standing. Noah's smile collapsed. My mother covered her mouth. My father didn't move. I didn't look at them. I looked at the kids in the audience who finally saw themselves believed. That was the moment the story outgrew my family. This wasn't about what they did to me. It was about what they let him become. When I walked back out into the sunlight, my phone buzzed nonstop. I turned it off. Some patterns only end when the truth is louder than the lie. And once it is, it never fits back into silence again. The trophy hit the stage first. Not Noah's hands, not his voice. The sound of metal against wood sharp wrong cut through the auditorium like a crack in glass. For half a second, no one moved. The screen behind him kept glowing, slide after slide, dates, messages, photos, voices shaking in recordings that never should have existed. Parents leaned forward, then stood, then started shouting names that weren't mine. That's my kid's jacket. Those are my daughter's earrings. He took my son's phone. Noah didn't cry this time. He couldn't. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. His face drained until he looked like paper left in the sun too long. The principal rushed the podium, hands out, saying my name like it was a warning. Lena, I unplugged the drive. That was all I needed to do. I didn't say a word, didn't explain, didn't defend. The truth was already doing the work. Security finally reacted too late to matter. Teachers clustered. Parents pushed closer. Phones were already up. Someone was live streaming. Someone else was crying. Noah tried to step back. A coach blocked him without touching him, just stood there, silent, heavy. The room turned on him in waves. I stepped off the stage and walked down the aisle, my footsteps steady, my hands cold in my pockets. I didn't look left. I didn't look right. I didn't look at my parents. Outside, the air was warmer than I remembered. The sky was wide and indifferent. My grandfather waited by the car engine, running window down. He didn't ask how it went. He just nodded once when he saw my face. By the time we pulled away, the auditorium behind us was still loud. Sirens joined the noise somewhere in the distance. I didn't turn around. Gravity had taken over. The fallout didn't take long. By Monday morning, the school issued a statement. Investigating. Serious concerns. Cooperation with authorities. Words stacked to sound responsible. By Monday afternoon, Noah was expelled. No appeal, no quiet transfer, permanent record. The nickname spread faster than the paperwork. Kids are efficient like that. What teachers couldn't see for years, a crowd saw in minutes. Integrity thief, fake tears, serial liar. My parents tried to contain it. Meetings, emails, calls they didn't return. Dad argued. Mom cried. Neither admitted anything. It didn't matter. Without my grandfather's support, the scaffolding holding their life up collapsed fast. The mortgage payments they'd never handled alone bounced. The bank stopped being patient. By the end of summer, the house was gone. I heard it through a third party. A neighbor who'd once waved at me every morning, now whispering details like gossip was safer than accountability. My parents didn't last much longer after that. Blame needs a target. When I was gone, they turned on each other. Dad moved first. Took a lower-paying job out of town, claimed he needed space. Mom stayed behind until the lease ended, then downsized into an apartment with thin walls and no yard. They stopped using my name. Noah finished the year on a shortened schedule at a school no one chose willingly. No teams, no clubs, no one sitting next to him unless required. He tried to message me once, a burner account, 2 words, I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for a long time before locking the phone and setting it face down. Some apologies aren't bridges, they're exits. I stayed in Arizona, finished high school quietly, online, straight A's. No one clapped, no one needed to. College came next, a scholarship my grandfather had set up long before anyone knew I'd need it. He watched me walk across the stage, his hands clapping once firm like punctuation. I didn't invite my parents. I didn't have to. Life settled into something steady after that. Work that mattered. A small apartment with light that stayed on when I came home. Friends who didn't ask me to earn my place. I changed my last name legally my sophomore year. Took my grandfather's old nickname instead. It fit better, felt earned. He passed 2 years later, on his porch, sunset spilling across the desert. Quiet. He left me the house, the savings, the proof that one person believing you can shift the weight of an entire life. People ask sometimes if I feel guilty, if I regret how it ended, if I do it differently now. The answer doesn't change. No. What happened to them wasn't revenge, it wasn't cruelty, it wasn't me taking anything from them, it was gravity. They made choices, over and over, small ones, easy ones. Ones that felt justified in the moment. They chose comfort over truth, silence over safety, a story over a child. Gravity doesn't care why you fall. It only cares that you let go. I didn't destroy my family. I survived it. And if there's one thing I know now, it's this. You don't owe loyalty to people who were willing to let you freeze. You don't owe silence to protect a lie. And you don't need permission to leave a place that already decided you didn't belong. The truth always comes out. Sometimes it just waits until it has a stage big enough to be heard.